welcome to this deep dive. We're jumping straight into something that feels incredibly relevant right now. How to train your mindset when, well, the world just keeps throwing curveballs.
It really does, doesn't it? I mean, unpredictability is basically the new normal. It's the operating system we're all running on now. You've got global health scares, economic ups and downs, tech changing everything almost overnight.
Yeah, it feels like the ground is constantly shifting under our feet.
Exactly.
And that leaves you thinking, okay, how do I actually handle this? How do I stay, grounded when everything's in flux?
And that question, which comes right from the sources we looked at, is really the heart of what we're digging into today. We're exploring what these materials suggest about making your mindset, well, your biggest asset in times like these, and crucially, how you can actually train it.
Okay, let's get into that. Because the sources make a really strong argument for why mindset is so critical, maybe even the most critical thing.
They put it really well, I think. In a world where you can't control so much externally, your internal state, your mindset, that's your superpower. That's what you can control.
It makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Skills can become obsolete, industries can disappear.
Right.
But your ability to cope, to adapt, to maybe even find an upside that stays with you, that's portable.
And there's that great metaphor in the sources. You can't control the storm, obviously, but you absolutely can learn how to sail your ship through it. What's really interesting is how the research they mentioned, from neuroscience, from psychology, it actually backs all of this up.
Oh, tell us a bit more about that. What did the research find?
Well, they point out that mental resilience, that ability to bounce back, to learn from tough stuff, maybe even grow because of it.
Yeah.
That's consistently shown to be a better predictor of long-term success and just general well-being than the things we usually think of.
Like what?
Like IQ, level of education, even how much experience you have in a certain job. Resilience often matters more.
Wow. That's quite something, isn't it? It really shifts the focus. It's not just about what you know, it's about how you handle things.
Exactly. And the really good news, the hopeful part that the sources stress, is that this isn't just something you're born with, like eye color.
You mean you can develop it?
Precisely. They really emphasize that resilience and the ability to stay clear-headed when things get messy. These are trainable skills, like going to the gym for your mind.
Okay, so if it's trainable, how do we actually do the training? The sources lay out a framework, right? 3 pillars.
Yeah, 3 core pillars for building that resilient mindset. The foundation, pillar number 1, is self-awareness.
Okay, so basically knowing yourself, understanding what's going on inside.
You got it. The principle is simple. You can't manage what you don't notice. It's about becoming like a careful observer of your own thoughts and feelings. What pushes your buttons? When things get uncertain, what's your go-to reaction? What situations just drain your energy?
So spotting those automatic responses, those patterns.
Yes, exactly that. And the sources suggest practical tools, things like journaling, maybe some mindfulness or meditation, or even just taking 5 minutes at the end of the day to reflect. No judgment, just noticing. The whole point is to identify those patterns, especially the unhelpful ones, so you actually know what needs work, what might need a bit of rewiring.
Right, makes sense. You need the diagnosis before the treatment. So once you have that awareness, how do you actually change the response? That pillar 2.
That leads us right into it. Pillar 2, cognitive reframing.
Okay, reframing. Changing the story you tell yourself about something.
That's a great way to put it. The sources call it the art of changing your interpretation, shifting the meaning you assign to a tough situation. They give this really powerful example. Instead of that default reaction, why is this happening to me?
Which immediately makes you feel like a victim.
Exactly. It's disempowering. Instead, you train yourself to ask, okay, what is this trying to teach me? So if a project gets derailed by market changes you couldn't foresee, instead of just feeling like, ugh, this is so unfair, why me?
Yeah.
You ask, what skills did this push me to develop? What did I learn about managing uncertainty? What insight does this give me for the next time?
So it's about actively searching for the growth edge, the opportunity hidden inside the problem.
That's the core idea. Cultivating this belief that, okay, even in this difficult thing, there's something valuable. Maybe it's a skill to build, maybe a fear to finally face. Maybe it reveals a strength you didn't even know you possessed until you were tested.
That takes conscious effort, shifting that internal narrative.
Okay, so notice your patterns. Self-awareness, change your story, cognitive reframing. What's pillar 3?
Pillar 3 is action over anxiety.
Oh yeah, this one is huge. That feeling when things are uncertain, you just freeze up. Overthink everything into paralysis.
Totally. Uncertainty breeds that analysis paralysis, right? So you get stuck in what-if loops. So the training here is about actively fighting that, It's about committing to doing something, taking action, even if it's just a small step. It doesn't have to be the perfect solution right away, just one calculated move forward. And the sources say this action actually helps bring clarity, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's a key point they make. Clarity often follows action. It doesn't always precede it. When you actually move, send that email, do that bit of research, tackle one small part of the problem, the fog starts to lift a little. Taking a step helps you see the next step. Staying still just keeps you lost in the doubt.
That feels incredibly practical.
Okay,
So the 3 pillars: self-awareness, cognitive reframing, action over anxiety. That's the core frame.
it's a core framework they lay out. And then they add this kind of pro tip, you could call it, something used by people who operate under intense pressure. Think elite athletes, special forces.
Ooh, okay, intriguing. What is it?
It's called mental rehearsal.
Like visualization, picturing things before they happen.
Exactly, that's the concept. And the practice they suggest is actually pretty simple. Just take, say, 3 to 5 minutes each morning.
Okay, doing what? Just imagining a perfect day.
Not necessarily perfect. It's more intentional than that. You visualize how you want to handle the potential stresses of the day. How will you respond if that difficult client calls? How will you stay calm if you hit an unexpected roadblock? What kind of energy, what attitude do you want to bring to challenges you know are coming?
So you're kind of pre-paving the response.
Yeah.
Practicing being the version of yourself you want to be in those tough moments.
You nailed it. And the reason this works, according to the neuroscience bit, is fascinating. Your brain apparently doesn't fully distinguish between a really vividly imagined experience and actually living it.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. So by mentally practicing responding with calm or focus or resilience, you're literally building those neural pathways. It makes that desired response more automatic, more likely when the real situation hits.
Wow, that makes the whole trainable idea feel very concrete, very doable.
It really does, doesn't it? It shifts resilience from just an abstract concept to something you can actively practice every day.
So wrapping up this deep dive into these sources, the big takeaway seems to be about the vital importance of, well, actively training our minds. Deliberately.
It's absolutely the central theme. They use that comparison we all get, that we need to train our bodies, right? Go to the gym, eat well, we understand that consistency. But how many of us apply that same intentional, regular effort to training our minds?
It's a fair question. And in today's world, which feels, let's be honest, pretty shaky and unpredictable, the sources argue this kind of mental fitness isn't just a nice extra anymore.
No, they frame it as the absolute foundation. Everything else rests on it.
And they leave us with that really arresting quote for you, the listener, to chew on. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
And your mindset is your system.
That definitely gives you something to think about. What kind of internal system are we actually building?
It does. This exploration really highlights that while we don't control the weather outside, we have immense influence over the ship we build to navigate it.
And it's not something you're just given. It's something you build.
Which brings us to that final thought from the sources, maybe something to mull over. The strongest minds aren't born, they're built.